What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is a new month. It is a new intro, but it's the same old show. It's the Ysn Power Hour brought to you by our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ with you. What an intro. I love it. I love new intro day. Today was supposed to be the day that we move into our new digs at athletics. We're excited to announce that day is coming, but it's not today. But that's okay because it is cold and dreary anyway. We want it to be warm and the sun shining and everything goes along with that, because that day, my friends, is going to be a historic day, not only in YSN's history, but athletics, as well as this valley. And we have a ton of things to discuss anyway. So there's no time to sit and fret about what is, what isn't. We have a lot of things to talk about, and most of it has to do with what is this weather? What is this crazy weather? And the trouble with this is, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse and we're a broken record here, but we are constantly jeopardizing games. And how does that affect the tournament? How does that affect the draw? How does that affect everything that goes on in positions of power that eventually get you to your district championship, your regional championship, and ultimately a state championship? How does this weather affect that? And I can tell you right off the jump, it's because some teams have more games than others, and some teams have less games than others. And that's kind of put it into perspective for our Power 20 that came out last night. And I got to tell you, man, it has been a whirlwind of, getting about the 20-hour mark here of people that are just absolutely. Some of them are excited. Some of them are absolutely just as PO'd as you can be about these Power 20s and these starting nines. The whole goal with this, and I'm not preaching to anybody here, I'm not sitting on the bully pulpit or whatever you want to call it. The whole idea behind the Power 20 is to give people an idea of what teams to be watching, right? Just because you're not in the 20 or because that you are, does not mean that you are or are not relevant at all. And this isn't a sharing is caring moment. This isn't a PBS moment. This is a moment of just saying, hey, we're trying to give people that maybe don't pay as much attention to baseball, the casual local sports fan, a little bit more of an idea of what teams stand out. And this is not a crowning of a king or queen. This is just simply an opportunity for more teams to be seen. And, we thought last football season, we've got 68 schools at this point, and to just highlight 10 is kind of it's kind of a crime, really. You think about it, because you're just highlighting, 20% of your schools, a little less than that, 15, 20% of your schools. And, it's great to be in the top 10, but we want to highlight the kind of next generation too, the next phase of that, which is the next 10 to 15 schools, and give them a little bit of shout too. Because no matter what anybody says, no matter what they say, I will go kicking and screaming into the night before we break up our power rankings between big schools and small schools, because I think it is an absolute slap in the face to all the schools to do that. If you're the best, you're the best. It shouldn't matter if you are a big or small school. The small schools are going to say, hey, we can play with these big schools any day. And that's the kind of theater of the mind, right? That's what you want to be able to say. Because sometimes, and most times, especially in football, that's never going to happen. You're never going to see these small schools necessarily play the big schools and vice versa. So it kind of creates the theater of the mind, the Rocky Balboa complex, as I like to call it, where could Rocky Balboa beat Mason the Lion Dixon and vice versa? We never thought we'd see Rocky step back in the ring, and then all of a sudden, boom, there he is, right? Yes, I know it's a movie. But Sly Stallone looked good in that movie, by the way. But when you talk about a LeBray who took over for the boys' side for baseball, the number 1 seed, the number 1 ranked team in the YSN area, LeBray, people just hounding us publicly, privately, across the board. Are you kidding me? LeBray is not better than this, that, the. Our numbers say different. And LeBray doesn't exactly play a cake eater schedule. They play a decent schedule. And I think Sam texted me and told me that they have played one of the most tedious schedules, excuse me, because the teams that they're playing are still winning. That's incredible. When you're playing teams and beating teams that are beating teams, yes, Sam said it last night on the Diamond Roundup, you're never going to see a algorithm that doesn't favor teams that beat teams. That beat teams. Yeah, that's right. So kudos to LeBray. But we've also kind of, and I don't want to say it, we've booby-trapped it to the point where if you play big teams, you get big points. If you win, it is not enough to just play big teams and lose. Certainly not lose to the run rule. And that's why Sam and Anthony, when we came up with the algorithm, Sam said, hey, I like this. There were a lot of people that didn't like the run rule algorithm. I loved it. And I loved it for a multitude of reasons. One of them being, if you got a team down by 8 or 9, finish them off. Be done with them. The longer you let teams hang around, let's say one inning turns into a 4 or 5 run inning and you're up by 8. Now you're only up by 3 or 4. And I think everybody in baseball and softball understands the difference between a 3 and 4 run game. Finish the job. Finish the job. You're there. It's a varsity sport. Finish the job. Right? I'm not saying go and pound out 74 runs. What I'm saying is, if you're up by 8, go up by 10 or 11 and take, especially in baseball, take a break from your pitching. Give your arms a break. There's a benefit to that, and there should be a benefit in the points, and I'm glad that that's in there. On the flip side, if you lose, don't lose by 10. You shouldn't want to lose by 10. You shouldn't want to, and nobody wants to lose in general, but you certainly don't want to lose by 10. And now we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to prop up the teams that don't lose by 10. You don't want to get run ruled, mercy ruled, whatever you want to call it. You don't want that. So we're trying to give benefits to those who do and benefits that to those who don't get run ruled. So there's two sides of that coin as well. But back to the kind of the limelight of what the Power 20 has brought. We've created a monster, folks. We've created a monster. Often replicated, never duplicated. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. One of the greatest tools in all of local sports, the power rankings. That's what I was told. And of course, what's come out of it? Well, I think, and people, most of our guys and gals don't believe me when I say this, but I believe that the silent majority, because it's been proven to me before, the silent majority loves the power rankings, especially when they're competitive, and especially in this area, because unlike any other, this area loves its student athletes. This area absolutely loves seeing kids, especially AAU, travel ball, things of that nature. They love seeing these kids and their names, even though they don't necessarily go to the same school. The Ursulines, the Moonies, the Columbianas, the Boardmans, the Fitches. They love seeing the kids that you grew up playing with and now you're playing against. They love seeing them do well too. That's why the starting 9 makes a ton of sense. That's why the Power 20 makes a ton of sense. The more names you get out there, the more exciting it becomes. And while I absolutely love the people that say our stuff's a joke, okay, that's great. I love opinions because everybody's got one, right? But those, I will tell you straight up, those same people that say that our stuff's a joke are the same people that are trying to nominate their own kids for big dogs. Bet your mortgage on it. Bet. No cap, as the kids say. Those are the same people, same exact people. And in it, I would argue that it's usually the same week that happens. They don't even rest. There's no rest for saying, hey, your guys' power 20 sucks, but my kid's awesome. You need to recognize him. That happens more than you'd believe. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think everybody, every single person, every parent, believes that their kid could be the next Mike Trout in baseball, the next Jenny Finch in softball. Anthony could give me a better example, but that's all I got in softball, so I apologize for that. Eric Collins says, go LeBray, you guys are amazing every year. No doubt. And I am so happy to see LeBray get the comeuppance that they deserve. When that came out, because we get, obviously, we have Sam does the baseball side of it for the metrics, and then Anthony does the softball side of it, and then they kind of throw it out to the rest of us. I get to see it with everybody else. It's not like a DJ gets to see this first and then, stamps it. The numbers are the numbers. I've told these guys 100 times before, if I've told them once, I'm going to back you. I'm going to back you. We're going to do this the right way. So make sure that your ducks are in a row, and we'll go from there. But for me, it's having those conversations to the guys, because listen, we all want to be loved, right? Everybody wants to be loved. And that goes the same for the schools, the kids, the student athletes, the coaches, the communities. All of them want to be loved. But the same goes for our announcers. We want the love too. And it's not always a good thing when you're leaving people off, the favored list. So listen, understand that the majority of everybody's in it for the same reason. We're all pulling from the same side of the rope. We all want the best. We all want to be the best, but you got to compete for it. You got to compete for it. It's not going to be handed to us. Ty says also area baseball, softball teams can refer to the Northeast Ohio area as a whole or the YSN coverage area. No need to redline certain counties, cities, or towns. There's enough love to go around, baby. I love it. And yeah, you're spot on, Ty. Absolutely spot on from that, because listen, we brought in Archbishop Hoban. We brought in Orange. We're bringing in, we have Richmond Edison. We have a ton of teams. We have Mohawk in Western Pennsylvania. Just because they're not a 3-3-0, and of course the 4-4-0 teams, I forgot. There's going to be a joke about that somewhere. Sam is noodling on it right now, I can tell. Just because they're not represented by Youngstown does not mean that we don't have love for them and they're not part of the family. I think one of the coolest things about bringing some of these teams in is now there's conversations going on about, hey, we would love to play you. We saw one of your games on YSN. Why wouldn't you want to play us? One of those things. There's things that Orange does really well. And there's other sports that they don't. They are the same as every other school on YSN. The same with Hoban. There's holes in Hoban. They're trying to fill those holes, but they want to put out a competitive product, which they typically do, that is competitive for their kids, no matter what division they're playing or who they're playing. And a lot of these, let's face it, I mean, the conversation, and I'm not probably ruffling any feathers or turning over any rocks here. There's a lot of schools that say, we're not going to play Ursuline. We're not going to play Mooney because they recruit. Okay, that's fine. That's your opinion. But we saw in fall that Mooney is, leveled out whenever they play against teams like South Range. Whenever Canfield and Ursuline gets together, it's always going to be a game. Borman and Ursuline. I mean, you can go up and down this thing, and it's just levels. So people hate when we're bringing in parochial schools. Like Walsh Jesuit is a team that we're really trying to bring in right now because they love our product. We're not trying to change who we are. We're trying to love on everybody because we firmly believe here that the better teams that we have at YSN, the better opportunities that all of our kids have. Because think about this. And I'm saying this from an East Palestine perspective, as an East Palestine resident, as an East Palestine student, athlete, once in a life, or once upon a time. If I'm on the same network and I'm on the same day and docket, right? The live page, and it's East Palestine versus Latonia. And there are people that will go from game to game to game, I being one of them, every night, just to see what's going on. How do they score their runs? Is it a good game? Is it a pitcher's duel? Is it a blowout? What is it? That's me. And I know I'm not the only one because I have the luxury of seeing all the statistics every day. I love being able to have these kids that are at these small schools be seen by the same fans of larger schools, especially if I think that I'm going to play at the next level. If you're going to play baseball, you're going to play softball, basketball, lacrosse. I mean, anything YSN covers, tennis. If you're going to play at the next level, and even if you're a small school, if you are on the same day, the same time, and most of these schools like to play about 5 o'clock, and even if you start first pitch 4:30, you're going to be on at 5 o'clock most times, unless you got a really fast game. There's an ability to be seen by a recruiter on a digital platform like never before. Like never before. What's funny to me is parents think that, and coaches also think for some reason that when recruiters, when scouts show up at a baseball or softball game or whatever that particular sport may be, that they're only there to see one person and they've got the blinders on, that they're only going to watch that one person and watch every move. I can tell you without a doubt in my mind that is so off. Because if this kid that you know isn't having a game, or heaven forbid he's sick or hurt, or she sick or hurt, then they're there. They already put the mileage in. They have to get something out of it. They're going to watch some ball. Now they don't even have to make you don't even have to just get in your car. Now you can watch right here on this thing, right? That's by the grace of God, you're able to just watch 10, 12 games a day. And a lot of these don't get turned around to our archives until midnight, so you can go back and watch them 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 again. And go right down Broadway to Stream City. Boom. And if it weren't for the ability to have these small schools, we wouldn't have the big schools. But I think it's the same way, the other way around. These big schools, we'll have these big schools, we wouldn't have the small schools. And I think that the recruiting aspect of it, the idea of, hey, this team gets all the coverage because they're just a bigger school, that's not the case. And we try to make 100% certain of that. Now, are we going to be able to touch every school this spring? I don't know. We're working on that right now. And I'm not making any excuses, but one of the conversations is 100%, we're working with a skeleton crew. Whether you know it or not, since the derailment in East Palestine, we have been working with a skeleton crew. And I'm not pointing at that as an excuse, right? Not the derailment as an excuse, just for whatever reason it is, that moment in time on, we've had a smaller crew to work with. And we always, in talking to Sam this past weekend, it's always a huge fall. And then you've got your everyday guys and gals during the winter, and then the spring comes and it's tough. It's tough. This spring has been tougher than anyone since COVID. And it's because of the weather, which is why we're talking about it today. The weather has been an extreme challenge. And I think it's been an extreme challenge for coaches and rhythms of teams, because you might play one day and you don't play for 6. And there's only so much you can do in a gymnasium. Now, that's why there's places like athletics, which I absolutely love. And of course, there's a lot of reasons to love it if you're YSN. There's a lot of reasons to love it if you're an athlete in general. But the reality is right now there's only one athletics, and that's why you've got to call ahead. You've got to get in touch with the people at athletics and say, hey, we need field time, we need cage time, we need, whatever, floor time, whatever it may be. You just find a spot to go in athletics and get better. Whereas if you're in the gym, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. I grew up in the gym. I grew up there. I was, everybody looks better in the gym. Everybody throws harder because those pops of the mitt are heard all around those four walls. But I'm telling you, you can only get so good in the gym. Catching grounders off hardwood doesn't necessarily make you better because the elements aren't true to the actual game. Say what you want about the difference between ground balls on the hardwood and ground balls on turf. There is a world of difference because there's at least a simulated feel to it. Eye level, footwork, things of that nature. Baseball was not meant to be played. Softball was not meant to be played in a gymnasium. It just wasn't. And if it were, I'm sure that someone from Northeast Ohio would have figured it out by now. Because then you'll never miss a game. That's the benefits of having basketball. The winter sports schedule is you're not missing very many games in Northeast Ohio. Maybe if there's a snow day. That's usually the only time you get canceled outside of COVID. But baseball and softball is completely different. And we've had this conversation before. I'm a firm believer that every school should be pounding on the door of the OHSAA saying, hey, you get our money in the postseason. We need to get these kids, these student athletes prepared, our teams prepared, our programs prepared. You need to invest in turf. The OHSAA is now getting paid by these membership schools. And it depends on how much or how many sports? Yeah. How many sports your school and your district have as to what the cost of admission is with the OHSAA. So to me, it's an easy solution. Hey, OHSAA, we need a turf field to play softball, to play baseball. You should be sponsoring that. You should have a hand in the pile of us making sure that's done because, to quote my buddy Andy, it's your party when we get to mid-May. And if these kids and these student athletes and these programs and these coaches only have 12 games out of 22, whatever that number is, are they getting their money's worth? But no, they still got to pay the same price these schools do to the OHSAA. And I'm not saying that the OHSAA is necessarily accountable for every single school and but they should have a program set up to where, hey, maybe 10 schools a year. Yeah, I know, Nicole. Good luck. Good luck is a great comment. Comment of the day right there. We're going to get to Erickson here in a second. But am I crazy to think that because they're profiting off of the student athletes from that scenario that they can't give a little bit back or start showcasing some goodwill? And then guess what? You can literally say that you own the fields that these kids play on. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. Austintown, way ahead of the bell curve. Way ahead. And there's a reason that they've played almost every single game. And it's because they have turf. The games that are getting canceled for normal sod, grass, dirt, Fitch is playing every night. And they benefit off of that because they, when they're on the road, get to say, oh, your field's not playable? That's too bad. Hey, say, would you want to come here and play? Because, and I don't know if this is, please do not quote me on this, but I have a sneaky suspicion that if you and your field are not playable, the other team has an opportunity to say, our field is, and if you say no, well, that sounds an awful lot like a forfeit. Sounds an awful lot like the rule. So you're going to have to play that game. Otherwise, teams could be like, yeah, no, we're good. We'll play tomorrow. And then put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. I think there's a rule in place like that is if your field's playable, they come to your field. I think. I don't, again, don't know 100% certainty, but I'd be willing to bet because it happens an awful lot. And not only that, entrepreneur here, business guy here, if you're not playing on your field and somebody else can, you can make a couple $100 a game. Might be expensive to put the turf down, throw some lights up. However, you do that, now you're a revenue-generating sport in a world where baseball and softball is not a revenue-generating sport. I don't know. Give me lemons, I'll make lemonade. That's all I'm saying. Turf fields should be, and I got to be careful how I say this, but I'm going to be blunt and just say it. Turf fields should be mandated in the state of Ohio. They should be. In fact, it should be in Pennsylvania. It should be everything in the Northeast and everything in the Midwest should be turf fields everywhere. And there's some people that are sitting there going, you're out of your blessed mind. And there's other people that are saying you're absolutely right. This is one of the great silent debates of our time, of sports. But I will tell you this isn't your mama's AstroTurf. This ain't your granddad's AstroTurf. This is legit, like, you could barely tell the difference to the naked eye. Turf. And some athletes actually prefer it, other than the burns, which are starting to go away. The scientists are in turf, and that sounds weird to say. They're starting to figure it out too. There's no way that you'll ever get rid of to have the exact same feel as synthetic because there's give to it because it always clumps up and actually pulls out of the ground. And some people will complain about the black beads that roll up. You see it all the time on football games when the toe drag swag's going on. It's the same thing in baseball. It's the same thing all the way around. But I will tell you this, it is safer. It is safer. There are now numbers out there. There are studies out there that showcase that turf is safer than grass. And it's certainly safer than the AstroTurf that you used to have at Three Rivers Stadium and you know, the Astrodome and places like that. That's the conversation that always comes up. Oh, there's concrete under that. They are going to bang their heads and concussions and did it. You ever hit your head on dirt? Not a good feeling. I know that it's not concrete, but it's still not great. Still ring your bell. You can get concussions off of foul balls to the heads of catchers and the helmets of catchers. I've had a few. That's why I'm not all there all the time. But the reality is you look at this and everything's about safety. I get it. Well, if the OHSAA is truly about safety and they want to get their games in, because I'll make the argument that if you're playing 12 games instead of 22, that there's going to be some challenged arms out there because you're probably not playing those 12 games spaced out evenly every 5 days or whatever it is. You're probably playing those games 2 here, take 2 weeks off, play 1 here, take a week off, play 1 here, and another one on Wednesday. Whatever it may be, you're challenged. I talked today on my social media about patterns, right? You have to be able to recognize them, then you need to be able to utilize them, and then you need to be able to create them. If you could do all three of that, your world is your oyster. Now, when we're talking about that in the terms of sports, and especially in spring sports, the patterns are out the window in Northeast Ohio. There are no such things as patterns for teams in Northeast Ohio during the spring. And it's hard to create patterns when you're up against it. Now, teams like Austintown Fitch, teams like Hoban, teams that are getting this turf, that are valuing their programs and saying, we need to have this because we're able to get games in when nobody else can. They're creating patterns. They recognize the pattern that the game is not being played very often in Northeast Ohio when you have dirt and regular sod. They utilized it by saying, hey, we're going to play when we can. And now they're creating their own pattern by saying, we're going to play more than anybody else. And we're going to be better than anybody else. That's the trick. Recognize pattern, utilize the pattern, create a pattern. That's how the best ones get done. You look at state champions, you look at Canfield, you look at South Range, what they did over the past decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. Recognized a pattern, utilized the pattern, created a pattern. That was a little bit more than turf, but you can see, just saying, you can see in their communities, in their foundational leadership from bottom up and from top down, they're all on the same page. They understand the same patterns and they're able to move forward. It's time that teams and programs in Northeast Ohio recognize this and say, hey, we've got some really good skill and really good talent. And if you don't believe me that we have this unbelievable talent pool in Northeast Ohio for sports, specifically baseball and softball, I beg you to find other, Sam talked about it, Ty talked about it, Anthony talked about it. If you take the top 5 teams on the YSN family in the Power 20 right now, I want to see a team anywhere else in the country that can take on that team and win decisively. I'm taking more. It's YSN versus the world again. I'm taking those 5 teams without a shadow of a doubt. Straight face and all. I'm taking those 5 teams. And they are going to wreak havoc. Austintown Fitch is nationally ranked. And I haven't heard boo about it. But I do hear it on the Power 20. It's incredible. It really is. And that's fine. And also, to be part of the Power 20, just FYI and 2 cents worth of advice. If your team isn't a YSN team, you're not going to be on the Power 20. This is an exclusive members only club. However, we do have to cover your teams and there has to be a contract in place. Otherwise, we can't do that because we don't have accurate description of your teams to qualify them for the Power 20 or not for the Power 20. All right, E, I told you that I would get to your comments, and I kind of went on a tangent there. All right, YSN is doing amazing things for all local teams and players. Majority of us think you guys are doing a great job. Thank you. Appreciate that. He also goes on to say that was supposed to be fake. Got it. And then he says straight facts here. Straight facts. And I hesitate to think that there's somebody out there that really doesn't, and I mean this with my whole heart. There's somebody out there that doesn't honestly think that I believe what I'm saying right now, that our teams in softball, 1 through 5, could go on and conquer the entire United States with the rosters they have. With that depth, with what we have, We are the elite. We are the elite in high school softball. And I believe the same in baseball. I think that it's different for baseball in this realm. I think the distribution of talent is wider in baseball. And it's more it's more compact in softball. Right? You look at a team like Fitch, you look at a team like South Range, you can go up and down the top 20 and like it is just they're packed in like sardines for softball. You look at baseball and I think it's more spread out. I really do. And I could be wrong on that and somebody can call me out and can change my mind, but I really do think that that's the difference between softball and baseball at this time. Now, I think it flipped over the last 6 years. I thought maybe when we started YSN that there was more talent right here, like packed in our area, in the coverage area that we have now, and softball was more spread out. But I think that completely flip-flopped. Sam chiming in and says, without a doubt, our 5 is the best 5 in the country with half the playing time. Yeah. So the crazy thing about, when we talk about playing time, for those of you who might not know or quite grasp it, so we had the Myrtle Beach trip 2 weeks ago. South Carolina was already in their tournaments. They play year-round. Year-round. That's why softball and baseball are more focused sports down in South Carolina than football necessarily. You know, football gets a lot of pub because of the NFL and because of, I mean, it's a popular sport. It's one of the most popular sports, if not the most popular sport in our country. But I don't think that baseball is ever going to go away. Personally, and there's no stats behind this, I think the OHSAA doesn't necessarily want baseball to go away, but they don't want to see it survive. I think baseball is just kind of a pain in the ass sport for them. And I think it all comes down to everything that we've talked about for the last 6.5 years, and it comes down to money. And they can make money off of having gyms being utilized, ticket sales, revenue in boys volleyball. And the only time they can make money in baseball, and well, they're not really knocking softball because they love softball. The only time they can make money on baseball is when they have it down in Columbus or when they have it here in Akron. So I think they kind of are, they're not necessarily guilty by association, right? If you're in a car and the driver had a few too many, right? And gets into a car accident or let's say he runs over like Michael Scott rule, right? Runs over someone. Like, you could have said, hey, not a good idea. You've had too many. You could have not gotten in the car in the first place or taken the keys, but you didn't. That's kind of where the OHSAA is, and that's kind of a really, really cruel tie-in, but it's what I think. I mean, they're not saying, hey, we're going to double down on baseball. They're saying, well, let's see what these schools do when we put another opportunity for sports out there. What do you think's going to happen, guys? What do you think's going to happen? You can regulate one sport and you don't have to regulate the other one. The other one doesn't, you're not promised game times or necessarily getting in all your games. Because most of these schools, they would love to say, hey, we're out of the tournament, we've got 10 games left, like they do for football, right? But you get to that point, you're up against the clock because your seniors are graduating. The give a crap meter is on 10, right? Or on 0, I guess. You're up against it. Nobody wants to play baseball for their school in July. That's just how it is. And the OHSA, instead of saying, hey, we're going to help the parents, we're going to help the coaches, we're going to help the school districts, they go, you're on your own. Oh, by the way, if you want to play boys volleyball, here it is over here. Enjoy it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Eric Collins, have a great day. You guys keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Eric. Congratulations to LeBray. And thank you once again for your service. I thought about that probably 100 times this weekend, about the you one-upped me. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often, and you got me good, my friend. You have a great weekend. Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you so much. We're going to take a break, our only break of the show. When we come back, we'll kind of put a bow on this show, and we will work towards what's happening on YSN here tonight, what's still around, what can we be entertained by, because I think we're going to have some more raindrops coming our way, and we'll give you the Storm Tracker 21 weather report brought to you by not your meteorologist, DJ Yoakley. Back after this.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
All right, so I promised you a weather report brought to you by our awesome friends over at Storm Tracker 21 and 21 WFMJ. Not good. I can tell you it's not good at all. So today, May 1st, happy May Day, everybody, to all of you out there and all you Justin Timberlake fans. It's gonna be May. 4 p.m., rain. 5 p.m., showers. 6 p.m. showers, 7 p.m. showers, 8 p.m. showers, 9 p.m. shower with a question mark, 10 p.m. showers with an S and a question mark, 11 p.m. showers, 12 a.m. rain/snow. Justin Timberlake, you son of a gun, you told me it's gonna be May. You told me. May 2nd, snow. Everybody's blaming these meteorologists. Andrew DePaulo is a saint. He's a saint. You blame Justin Timberlake if you're going to bring that heat. You're going to bring that smoke. You blame NSYNC. You don't blame Andrew DePaulo. Not once. He's a saint. Tomorrow, folks, it doesn't look much better tomorrow. It looks rough. I'm going to get my broadcaster voice on, okay? Tuesday, 42 degrees as a high, 36 is your low, 100% precipitation chance on Tuesday. Wednesday, you're going to be looking at more rain, 47 is your high, 38 degrees your low, 70% chance of precipitation. And just when you thought that things would lighten up, nope, PM showers on Thursday, 56 your high, 36 your low, 30% chance of precipitation. Probably still not playing baseball or softball because you don't have a freaking turf field unless you're Austintown Fitch or Hoban or Louisville. On Friday, mostly sunny skies, 61 degrees, 39 degrees is your low, 0% chance of precipitation. Play ball. Followed up by a beautiful Saturday, sunny skies, 67 degrees, 43 degrees is your low, 0% precipitation as well. And finally, to round out your week, sunny skies on Sunday, 72 degrees, a beautiful day, 50 degrees your low. Open up those windows, folks. May is finally here on Sunday. So your best chance of playing baseball and softball is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if you can get them in. Today, we look at the schedule. A whole lot of red here on May Day. You've got I'm just gonna say it's canceled. Like, you just hit me with a question. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Canceled. They canceled it. Because right now, all I see across everything YSN on Monday, May 1st is a whole lot of red and canceled across the board. Baseball, softball, and that is it. Toast City, USA here today. So nothing going on. Our announcers get a night off. Not that we want it, but it's always deserved because they work so incredibly hard. The student athletes get a night off, probably some indoor practices, which will inevitably result in some basketball being played, probably for the the cardio portion of today's workout, brought to you by Michael Jordan. But I mean, the reality is, hey, you got to play with what you got. You know, you play with what you have. You dance with the girl who brought you, and it's what you have to deal with. Softball. I'm having Anthony work on the write-up and piece of content on ysnlive.com. I'm going to be pumping out content all night, just trying to keep people entertained. So make sure you're up on that. And, we did the Power Hour from Valley Christian last week. We'll have all of that up this evening. Also, all of our shows from last week, our interviews will be up this evening as well. Working hard on that because there's no games to go to tonight. All right. Let's get to the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them today at dickieelectric.com. Anything commercial, residential, industrial, and anything electrical, make sure you're heading on over to dickieelectric.com. Tell them YSN sent you. All right. I have... it's a good spark. It's actually a really good spark. As a parent, there's things in your life that are so important to you and you're so passionate about. For those of you who know me, know how passionate I am and how much I love. Now, listen, I love the Steelers, right? I love my Pittsburgh sports. I have all kinds of respect for Cleveland sports, even though I just like to bust Scotty's chops on the air when he comes on. The draft was this weekend. I got to take in a little, probably I watched a little bit on Thursday, not a whole lot on Friday. And then throughout the Saturday, we were kind of clipping on and off on our devices. But my little man was all excited for the draft, which I was pumped up for, right? So we went on Friday. He needed new socks for T-ball. So we got him his new socks, and I had my Pirates hat on, and he said, "Daddy, I want a hat like yours." I mean, when he requests a Pirates hat, as a Pirates fan, like you are, and I think I'm starting to understand it now. Scotty said that on Friday that he felt like he was brainwashed to be a Browns fan. And there was a moment in the Dunhams that we were in that I was like, this is it. I've been waiting for this moment. It's my time to give him his first taste of being a Pirates fan. So he got a Pirates hat, and he's yet to take it off. Wanted to wear it to school today. I had to tell him no, which broke my heart. But on Saturday, he walked downstairs, after breakfast. I was down there watching, catching up on some stuff and getting pumped up for the day. And he's got his Pirates hat on, his pajamas. I may have cursed this young boy for life. It may be the brainwashing that Scotty talked about, but as a parent, when they take an interest in the things that you take an interest in, I'm telling you, there is no greater joy than that. And I could care less if he grows up to be a professional baseball player, even varsity baseball player. The fact that he, at this moment in his life, at 5 years old, likes the same things that daddy likes and is passionate about them and wants to have conversations about them, and not conversations about PJ Masks and Spider-Man. Those conversations happen anyway. That, my friends, is one of the best sparks I can ever deliver to you. Oh, like amazing. It gets you in the feels. And if you understand what we've gone through to have these moments, just electric. Absolutely electric. And that's why it's my spark today. I hope you had a great weekend. Sorry that we didn't get to talk more, but I will tell you this. If you would like to talk, or you'd like the chance to be on the Power Hour and talk sports with us, all you got to do, I'm telling you, I'd love to have Eric Collins. I'd love to have majority of our fans on. Just hit us up. We'd love to send you a link. Let's talk sports. We'll even let you pick the topics. Head on over to ysnlive.com. I told you there's going to be a ton of stuff up tonight. Make sure you are digesting that content that we're putting out there. Anthony and the whole crew doing a great job on the content team. Mike Wolfgang, you're killing it. Thank you to all of you watching. These are the days that we dance, because there's not a whole lot going on, and every dance needs two to tango, and we appreciate you tangoing with us. So that's going to do it for the show today. Appreciate you so much, as always, tuning in. We thank our friends over at Toyota of Warren for being a big part of what we're doing moving forward. And we thank all of our sponsors, including the new ones today. Last point I'll make, Double Bogies, and our friends over at the Bunker Southern Park Mall, the newest sponsors for YSN, and they understand, and Jonah and the whole crew over there, thank you for believing in us. Greatly appreciate it. We've been talking for, it feels like forever, but it's been, a good year and change. And we're finally able to get something done. So we appreciate it. If you'd like to be a sponsor of YSN, head on over to our sponsors page, ysnlive.com/advertise. There are packages for all makes and models, all businesses, and certainly an opportunity for you to be seen in front of 8.4 million people, views, whatever you want to, it's views. And we're just into May. 8.4 million, already surpassing our numbers from last year. God bless you. We love you. We will see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on the YSN Power Hour. Till then, be safe, and most important of all, just be yourself. YSN thanks you